So, I mean, you knew you were gonna publish it till you actually had the book in your hands.
Till I knew I was gonna publish it, or when I started writing it? 'Cause
You knew you were
those
gonna
are two-
publish it.
I was gonna publish it.
You've probably been writing it your whole life, right?
Well, I started back in 1994. I started when I started to have this experiences, and that was part of the setting up of the computer. And that was part of the story. I said, I'm gonna write. I didn't know what I was gonna write about. But I was, and this is it. This is what that was. So, let's see. I don't remember actually when I decided I was gonna publish it. Back when I started, the self-publishing world wasn't big. It was, at least that I knew of. It was about finding a major publishing house or getting a major publishing house to back your book. And I couldn't deal with any of that back then. I mean, I had to deal with what was going on with me in my healing process, and just getting it out on paper. I could not think about the publishing part of it. So, to be honest, I don't remember exactly when. Obviously when you're writing, you decide to write a book, you have a dream that, it's going to be published someday, and I don't know when exactly that was, so. Who said that?
Throughout the course of your writing, like the whole time when you were writing the book, did you actually feel like you were re-experiencing the events that occurred when you were writing it?
Oh my gosh, it was a nightmare. It was, yeah. And there were times where it was like, I absolutely just didn't want to look at it anymore. It's like, how many times am I going to have to rehash this? So yeah, you go into an emotional place when you're writing about stuff like this that can be cathartic. It can be overkill. And for a lot of what I did, I felt like, it definitely, in a way, it helped me heal. I mean, I had to keep looking at it until I didn't have to, feel horrible anymore. But there was definitely times when it was grueling, and I had a hard time getting it done. I mean, I think that's why it took so long. Thanks. Hey, Jossie.
Hey, Shannon. Shannon, I was just curious, what kind of process did you have to go through to be willing to share these kind of details, with the public? And also, I'm curious also if you have like a specific, like, I don't want to say target audience, but a certain, gender or age group that you think your book would be most effective to, like perhaps young women and in your similar circumstances. So it's a two-part question.
Okay. Well, answer the second part first.
Okay.
So I like to do things backwards. So. I feel that and that's why I want everybody's feedback, because I need to find out where it needs to go. But I'm very much for healing, empowerment of women, and healing, and the healing process. And I think it's going to help women in their early 20s into their 30s. That's the primary group that I think will be able to relate to this. But I don't know. It could be a lot wider of a range than that. It could help men. I don't know. It's my story, so I don't know. After you read it, you can give me your feedback, and then we'll find out something new. The second, now I forgot the first part of the question.
What was the process that you had to go through to be willing to, like?
It's a step-by-step process.
Yeah.
New fears from the time that I started to the time to now. Like I was just describing about 2 weeks ago, I went through lots of different waves of terror, of the unknown, what people are going to think. Is it going to be successful? Is it going to, everything. Jasmine's class really helped me face a lot of it. I was terrified to sit down at the computer and write, by myself. And just to even look at it and to know that maybe someday somebody's gonna read that, to even go to her class and share it. Luckily I have these wonderful women that were so nurturing, and a few men, that were so nurturing and so they were just like mother hens for me. And it was really, they gave me the experience that it was safe, that it's gonna be okay, that I can share this stuff and that people are gonna be able to relate to it. And that was also a part of my healing process, to be able to talk about it and to be able to read and not be afraid. So I think, I think that's the same with anything that we go through in life too. It's like when we're walking towards something, we have to face certain fears, and I don't know, tomorrow could be a whole nother set of fears that come up. I don't know. But yeah, it definitely is a process, and what I know today is now I just need to be willing to name my fear. If it's an old wound, I name it, I look at it, I talk about it, and if it's a new wound, I just face it. Or if it's a new fear, I just face it. Face it, and then it's usually nothing. It usually is like nothing. It's usually what didn't exist, so, usually. Hi, Madeline.
So my question for you was, did you grow up religious, or did you discover God through your healing process?
I read about it in the book, and there is a little small period in my life where we lived next door to a Southern Baptist reverend. And my parents were pretty much absent from my life. When I say my parents, my mom and my stepdad. And they took me under their wing, and they brought me to church for the year. And I was baptized Southern Baptist. I let Jesus into my heart, and I learned about religion. Now, I was about 8, and I loved God, and I loved the church. But I also took away I'm a sinner because I don't honor my father and mother, and I also took away, I'm a sinner and a bad girl, just I'm dirty, and my dad did those things to me, and I must be bad, and I'm gonna go to hell. So I took away some, not so good beliefs, but I also learned a lot about religion, and that's where I got my foundation, or what I understood to be God, which when I started my healing process, my God now is me, is here and all around. And my God then was a man up in the sky that was punishing me and very far from what I have now. So it's a very different relationship.
How about the title of the book? If you want to explain how you came up with that.
The title just came to me one day. I had been there was a lot of different ones. It was Through the Eyes of a Dancer, there was Behind Bars. I loved that one, but nobody liked that one because it was in prison. I would have like the eyes behind these bars. Nobody liked that one. And Jaded Grace just came to me one day. And I actually had to figure out what it meant to me. And I have a sense of what it means to me today, and I use it in the ending of the book. But I think that what it means for me is there's been so many times in my life and things that have happened to me where it is, I have had jaded attitudes. I've been tired. I've been weak and weary. And the grace is always there. It's always there. And it's kind of like, it's a little bit, I want to say cynical or sarcastic too. Like it'll be grace no matter what. it doesn't matter how jaded I am. God loves me. And it's gonna give me grace to walk through what I need to.
Hi. I just wanted to say you've helped me already, so, that was pretty awesome, the readings that you did already. And I wanted to ask about what were some of the major things that were helpful to you, when being, I guess, I don't know what you did to go find out how to write better, but what were some of the major things that they pointed out, that you were able to change and to make your writing more fluid or whatever it was?
Their brutal honesty was part of it, you know, but they were gentle with me too. Jasmine has a model that we use in the class about, everybody in there is writing memoir, so we used a model of critiquing setting,
Characterization,
Characters, been a while since we've been in the
setting,
class.
themes, transitions, pacing, a lot of different things about it.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
and then people would go off and critique about the content, which they weren't supposed to, but anyway. Are you wanting to do the door prizes?
Yeah, ready?
So, anyway, and then, yeah, I guess we wanna, what's the time? Am I going, is it time?
8 o'clock.
Okay. So anyway, does that help answer your question? I mean, a lot of it was my group that helped me, and then a lot of it was just doing it. And then finding out my own rhythm, finding out what helps and inspires me to write. Looking at, everybody has their own process, I think, and with the consistently find out what works for you and what